just recently, GojiCenter released their top 16, so,
On July 22nd, 2024, a nightmare was unleashed that could end an era of mankind.
The Indominus 2.0 was meant to be a localized extinction event, but it could turn into a global extinction event if it has to. If it can.
This creature sent ripples across
Because it can.
the planet, and the internet took it as a mission to eliminate this animal.
Yes. Starting off with Hank, and then there's still a whole lot of people trying to make hybrids to defeat the Indominus. Even though this hybrid war technically ended.
Many failed. Many currently think they succeeded, but only a select few might have actually accomplished surviving and defeating the pale horse of pestilence and death. These were the final 16 of the Great Hybrid War.
How about the honorable mentions? Some honorable mentions are still able to defeat the Indominus 2.0 in certain situations, but I'm guessing their situations would be a bit more niche overall.
A competition set out to challenge daring, aspiring geneticists to research, craft, and study fictitious hybrids composed of real-life animals, with the end goal of surviving and defeating a 2.0 in single hand-to-hand combat.
Yes.
Out of the more than 1,600 submissions, very few
We can also see the hybrids that are not mentioned, for example.
combat. Out of the more than
For example, that Glyptodont hybrid. Resiovenatrix was not mentioned either.
1,600
And then
submissions, very few would have been able to kill a 2.0.
Thassalifus Imperator also could not be the Indominus.
With even fewer displaying creative body types.
That's a lot of hybrids. That Ceratopsian has too many weapons and could have a lot of exploitable weak spots used to manipulate the Ceratopsian. Too many weak spots, in fact.
Congruence.
Dracosuchus Imperator was in the honorable mentions. That Vercotherium as well.
Genomes
Okay, that green one did not.
and unique combat methodologies that
Liam. I've heard of Liam, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Liam made it.
earned them the spot in the final 16. To keep this list interesting, the research team at GojiCenter HQ handpicked the creatures that would perform best in a 1v1 matchup against the 2.0, featuring some very unique builds, as you'll soon see. In the next few episodes of the Hybrid War, we'll narrow these down to 8, then analyze the final 4 hybrids in the last episode, bringing forth the winner of this competition.
By the way, I am a GojiCenter member, so I can see the list and all that.
To determine the hybrid spot in the final bracket, the hybrids will be placed in 4 separate groups, depending on their overall build, with Group A through C consisting only of same builds, and D being a mixture of the remaining 8 with different overall builds.
Yes.
This is to prevent a sauropod versus sauropod or theropod versus theropod evaluation early on in the knockout rounds. A live drawing will be broadcast to all channel members, where we will live stream this drawing to determine which hybrids will stand off in the evaluation rounds. As this bracket closes in on the finalists, you'll find that we'll become even more harsh when evaluating these animals.
So 4 of the same group. It's most likely going to be 4 theropods and 4 sauropods. I
Yes.
wonder what they could be.
Even the final 16. The final will truly be the best out of the best at defeating the 2.0. Without further ado, let us begin with hybrid number 1, Predator Rex.
Predator Rex isn't really a creative name. So I'm guessing it's because the genome was already incredible enough that it doesn't really need a creative name. But, I'm still a little bit iffy about that.
This theropod hybrid submitted by Godzilla fan art can be described as a large but not oversized theropod, combining the traits of a variety of predators, modern and prehistoric. Also known as Vega, the hybrid marches into battle almost like a mirror of its opponent.
I mean, it definitely took notes. A lot of creators took notes from GojiCenter's hybrids. And, you know, a lot of them, some are not creative enough, some are not well built enough. That's why they didn't make it.
Strong jaws, powerful limbs, armor, and venom all brought to bear. Looking at its genome and how they were used, this creature turns out being a highly resilient combatant with straightforward but practical weaponry. Jaws, powerful limbs, armor, and venom all
The fur could be a little bit of a problem here.
brought to bear.
That's the thing here.
Looking at its genome and how they were used, this creature turns out being a highly resilient combatant with straightforward but practical weaponry.
See, the fur over here could be a slight problem when it comes to tropical climates. I'm not confident that this thing could make it to the top 8 as a result. There are several hybrids here that have done a much, much better job.
9 contributors make themselves present, similar to that of the 2.0.
Yes, 9 contributors makes it quite congruent. 9 contributors. Basically, the recommended amount of contributors of a hybrid is around 7 to 10.
Using the real-life
Unless if you're really careful what you're doing when you're adding even more contributors.
paleo-accurate T-Rex, Megaraptor, Utah Raptor, Komodo Dragon, Chimpanzee, Pangolin, Honey Badger, Vampire Bat, and Limpets.
Misspelled vampire bat, but like, I shouldn't be nitpicky about it.
A combination of strong jaws and claws that was coupled with dexterous forearms that were built to cope with the size and strength. This hybrid will be placed on spot A1 and will patiently await its
Group A is 4 theropods,
opponent in the evaluation round.
as you can see here.
Hybrid number 2, Monstratherium brutes.
Now,
Vampire.
let me look at the genome here. Megaraptor and Utah Raptor are fine. Komodo Dragon is also fine. Chimpanzee, Pangolin, alright? Honey Badger, Vampire Bat, alright? Honey Badger is quite underrated, so is the Pangolin. And you'll see a lot of creatures using Pangolin here. It has a lot of armor, but also maintains flexibility. And there's also the Limpets.
Bat and Limpets, a combination of
Which is
strong
basically scaly-footed gastropod, but better.
jaws and claws that was
And less
coupled with
circumstantial.
dexterous. Number 2, Monstratherium brutalis, with a name meaning brutal, monstrous beast. This creature stomps into the platform with a total of 9 genetic contributors, using the Megatherium and Shentungosaurus for build and size.
As you can see here, this is sloth hybrid. A
Chimpanzee,
sloth hybrid.
Thylacoleo, domestic pig, Indian pangolin, African crested porcupine, scalyfoot gastropod, and limpets.
Yes, scaly-footed gastropod. I'm guessing people got away with using scaly-footed gastropod because they didn't put them in bones. Rather, they put them selectively in terms of teeth and all that.
This is the first chiefly mammalian hybrid on this list.
Definitely a Samson fan. I can tell. Scaly-footed gastropod
This ground
and using a sloth.
sloth on steroids combines raw power with the more armored skin and quills of pangolins and porcupines.
Porcupines work. So, porcupines work. Alright?
Further augments by the massive Shentungosaurus help it cope with its large size and
Yes.
give it time to leverage its claws and teeth for their best use. One big reason why this creature was selected was an interesting detail that may or may not have been intentionally leveraged by its geneticist at Justabetotus.
Okay.
While studying the genome, we identified a big issue. Scalyfoot gastropod and limpets were seemingly a clever choice when using it to augment the armor of this animal. However, mentioning that this also reinforces the bones makes possible for this hybrid to suffer from blood poisoning from all the iron leaching into the bloodstream.
Either that or acute iron deficiency, thanks to just redirecting towards the bones and all that.
Isolating this augmentation only to the skin and teeth could avoid this, but
Okay.
thankfully, apart from adding this buff to mostly the skin, the hybrid also contains domestic pig, contributing to its immune system and ability to reroute toxic buildups.
Yeah, pigs and boars, they are good decisions because they offer venom resistance. and they will be able to make the Indominus they will be able to make the creature last a bit longer to face off against the Indominus, have a higher chance of winning. My hybrid also used wild boar, and it's probably the same result as a domestic pig, but I used the wild boar for congruity issues.
Hybrid. This non-sauropod heavyweight will await a rival competitor in spot D1. Time to look at one of the big hybrids of the final 16. Hybrid number 3, Arantis Gigantis.
I mean, there's going to be a bunch of sauropods.
The armored giant. Perhaps one of the simplest yet most effective genomes in this competition's sea of submissions.
Simple is effective, as they say. Gallimimus Rex, for example, used the T-Rex and a chicken. And it got into the honorable mentions. And it's also quite high up as well, number 42 out of 82.
Consisting only of Ferropelta, Stegoros, vampire bats, and Argentinosaurus as the base genome. This creature, submitted by geneticist Al Wall, is the most straightforward example in this list of being simple but practical.
This giant could just slash on the rest, though. Is the thick hide.
Quakes the earth by stomping into the arena with surprisingly few augments.
I mean, vampire bat is for the immune system. Ferropelta and Stegoros are just to prevent the Indominus 2.0 from properly climbing on it. This thing, however, doesn't seem super armored from the underside. It's probably because this thing could just crush the Indominus.
When the objective was just to put extra armor,
the Indominus 2.0 could potentially just pounce and slash on the lower part of the neck.
Binds along with the...
But then again, this thing is quite gigantic and would not stand idle.
System of a vampire bat on top of the same genome this creature enjoys. You don't need much when building on top of possibly the most powerful land animal to ever exist. The colossal titan that is Argentinosaurus.
Argentinosaurus, yeah. Argentinosaurus is incredibly bulky. For a sauropod, a lot of people just choose Argentinosaurus. A lot of people use Argentinosaurus, and that's really to be expected. Argentinosaurus was the largest land animal to have ever existed, with confidence.
To fight anything, the objective is simple. It may not seem like the fastest, and it may take time to land any major hits, but with sheer bulk and armor, it might well weather the storm and lead to a literal crushing victory.
But there is another hybrid that performed way better, in my opinion, than this hybrid. Because the Indominus 2.0 can just simply play a long game, all while its agility can keep it at bay when it comes to this Arantis Gigantis.
This hybrid will sit and wait for the next round on spot B1. Number 4, Keraunoceratops barbaricus. The savage
Ceratopsian.
Lightning horn face is our first ceratopsian to enter the final 16, consisting of Triceratops and Alamosaurus working together for base and size. Ankylosaurus, southern mammoth, Stagonelopus, Skeletosaurus, Pachycephalosaurus, Stegosaurus, Alamosaurus, beaded lizard, and common limpet.
I don't know why Skeletosaurus. I don't know why Skeletosaurus and Ankylosaurus were both added. Just remove one of them. Is it because the Skeletosaurus add more congruity? I used the Skeletosaurus for armor.
If there was anything in nature that could stand up...
I mean, Skeletosaurus makes sense, because its light armor means that it won't sacrifice as much flexibility.
Beaded lizard and common limpet. If there was anything in nature that could stand up to the Tyrannosaurus and win, it was a Triceratops.
Ankylosaurus as well. This thing can just break the T-Rex's ankles. And since it's short, its flat posture, its short posture, means that the Ankylosaurus could use its tail to just break the T-Rex's ankles before the T-Rex could chomp down. Of course, the T-Rex can get away with this by, by biting on the Ankylosaurus' face instead.
And the 66-million-year-old grudge is revived with this
Ambush.
bruiser stepping into the ring in front of the 2.0. Geneticist Mean Green Good to Go brought us an augmented trike sporting a wide variety of armored dinosaurs to keep it protected from head to toe.
Ankylosaurus's tail over here, it could be replaced with something else, like Ferropelta or something else, but like, this thing is already incredible as it is. Just Ankylosaurus' tail could be a slight problem, but otherwise, this Ceratopsian has a very good chance.
Alamos
By the looks of it. And cool colors as well, maroon color. We don't see that often.
Saurus for mass and thermoregulation, Mexican beaded lizard for added defense, and interesting addition of venomous bite to a Ceratopsian. We'll park the horned menace in spot C1. Armor.
Not like a Ceratopsian would need a venomous bite anyway.
Beaded lizard and common limpet.
Because, you know, this thing could just attack using its horns. Just gore the whole thing. And I don't think there is much congruity with just biting, using it to bite the Indominus in combat.
For added defense and interesting addition of venomous bite to a Ceratopsian.
But given how armored this is, I'm willing to bet that this is going to be in
We'll
top 8.
park the horned menace in spot C1. Armor seems to be a common theme in the final 16, and rightly so.
Yes. So many creatures have armor because the Indominus 2.0 can just claw, slash, and just pierce through even the thickest of hides. That's why tons of people used armor.
Hybrid number 5. The
Armor is basically necessary, man.
appropriately named Armored Titan may not have the plot armor Reiner enjoyed, but it might not even need that. The hybrid brought by Connor the Dinosaur Man comes stomping into the analysis platform with a modest number of 7 contributors.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. It could be a little bit of a problem when it comes to flexibility, but if it's Pangolin, then whatever. Just... My God, look at this. There's really no way the Indominus 2.0 could safely mount on it without just stepping on a Lego piece, basically.
And Argentinosaurus.
Stepping on a ton of Lego pieces.
Base and size, armadillo lizard, megatherium, fruit bat, whiptail lizard, and tree frog.
Armadillo gives it armor. Selective placement. To make it a bit more flexible, as they say. Fruit bat, definitely inspired from Samson. Megatherium as well. Could, like, rear up the thing. It's basically just Samson, but... It's basically Samson, but a Diplodocus, too.
The second sauropod earthshaker on the list uses Diplodocus for reach and tail swing speed, with Argentinosaurus for added size and bulk.
The Diplodocus's whiptail, though, doesn't... The Diplodocus whiptail, though, it isn't really used for swinging. If it could break the sound barrier using its tail, it might as well break it.
For close range, a set of sharp claws will make a crushing attack even more lethal and messy. Armored lizards and bat DNA add some valuable resilience inside and out.
Yes.
Whiptail lizard and tree frog mean that in isolation, the Titan could breed at alarming rates and limit the time it would be a vulnerable juvenile, as long as sufficient food is laying around. The long neck was selected for being a versatile hybrid for its many methods of attack, but may not even need that many with an armored whip capable of cutting lesser animals in 2.
Yes, not just in 2. It could cut lesser animals in several pieces because of the tail. As long as it doesn't break it, of course.
This hybrid will be placed on slot.
As long as it swings with enough force such that it could just not break it, but still incredibly powerful regardless, it could just slice stuff in half.
B2
and slice not even half, like several pieces.
And
like I
eagerly
said.
await the round of 16. Next up, one of the most creative designs on this list, hybrid number 6, the Spinovenator, also known as Akira,
Akira. All right.
Spiny Hunter. Brought to us by Yokomation Studios, this hybrid consists of a genome that proves that size isn't everything.
I mean, size does matter when it comes to facing the Indominus, but obviously, if you can get around it, you can. But it's going to be difficult to do so. Your creature needs size in order to be able to land damaging blows to the Indominus in the first place. I mean, if Maddie was shrunken, how could she be able to damage the Indominus?
Mate, weasel, leopard, jaguar, pallid bat, grasshopper mouse, barn owl, North American porcupine, Cape porcupine, Kia parrot, and honey badger.
Honey badger is underrated. Leopard and jaguar, quadrupedal instincts? Couldn't mess with the congruity, but, like, would a leopard and jaguar be used? Were leopard and jaguar used for the jaws? Probably. Pallid bat. Grasshopper mouse. Grasshopper mouse is also an interesting choice. It could enhance the arm power, I guess. The porcupine quills would make it just impossible to attack a flank.
At only
impossible to attack the flank.
6 tons, the fluffy assassin is a lot lighter than most other theropod entries. However, this particular attack methodology will prove that being lighter in this case may prove advantageous. Highly intelligent and equipped with the big clawed mate, the most mega of all megaraptors,
5 to 6 tons. Okay.
Weasels, panthers, and carnivorous grasshopper mice add on to the claws and teeth while giving Akira the ability to create its own painkillers to stay in the fight. Fluffy but armored, the 2 species of porcupine cover it in bristles and quills for added defense that pricks back.
Okay, now this thing could potentially get away with it because it's lighter, of course. It's built on a theropod, and the porcupines, both of these porcupines over here,
quills for
they don't have that much
defense that pricks back.
Their quills don't really affect their heat regulation abilities from whatever.
Bristles and quills for added defense. The second spot in the group of theropods. Hybrid number 7 is a menace from another terrace, the Valkyriopteryx Hygeia.
This is one of those cases where people are surprised by this. There's a pterosaur on the list.
Is an example.
Because this pterosaur, the pterosaur did not use something like Quetzalcoatlus. The pterosaur used, spoiler alert, the pterosaur used a Hatzegopteryx, which is more robust and more optimal. And probably the most optimal pterosaur to fight against the Indominus in the first place.
Of how simple can also be dangerous and effective, and its creator Dionette being an example of a bold geneticist bringing a seemingly unconventional lightweight flyer into the arena. One that doesn't even weigh 1 full ton, but with an attack that can inflict a ton of force. The modified pterosaur is built upon the form of the most robust flying apex predator to ever live, Hatzegopteryx, and we appreciate avoiding using the overly used fanciful attack methods that could backfire, like spitting venom or burning acid.
Yeah, a lot of Hall of Shame creations, and a lot of creations that are not mentioned, they tried to use fancy methods to attack, instead of just going for which is the most practical. Like, I think like 70% of all submissions, they try to come with a fancy method to attack. Probably not 70, but like half of submissions. And they ended up backfiring.
Instead, the addition of pileated...
The vast majority of them ended up just backfiring.
Woodpecker helps reinforce the beak and skull for strong pecs that could potentially crack bone.
Okay.
Lappet-faced vulture helps to buffer up the immune system as well as ramp up aggression. The bald eagle gives the pterosaur an extra weapon most flying reptiles lacked by enhancing the leg
Street Tenrec
muscles and giving it a set of talons
woodpecker
across the feet, whilst also enhancing vision. Finally, the streaked tenrec, a distant relative of elephants of all things, helps to bolster the defense with some strong but very lightweight quills.
I mean, yeah. This thing is interesting. It could potentially make it to the top 8, thanks to its ability to just hover from above and just strike against the Indominus. It's gonna have to land good hits, though.
Talons across the feet. Last sound could produce a high-pitched sound, lightweight quills. These quills also give it a unique war cry to confuse its enemy. Streaked tenrec, a distant things. These quills.
That's
While
clever.
flying, this animal could produce a high-pitched sound called stridulation. This is the last sound many lesser animals will hear right before the Pteroraptor lands on its prey and inflicts the first and final blow. The Valkyriopteryx will perch on slot D2.
I mean, the Hatzigopteryx was more so designed to hunt terrestrial animals in its environment, being the apex predator after all.
We have now reached the halfway point of the final 16. Number 8 is the complete opposite of a lightweight ambusher. The Ferropelta brings a large but relatively congruent gene pool of contributors whose main strategy against the 2.0 is defense. Geneticists Omega Pictures brought us a ceratopsian with an ankylosaurid base. Almost a dozen Omega
Interesting.
Pictures brought us a
We've got Ankylosaurus, Anodontosaurus. Anodontosaurus is clever. Gastonia as well. Zool. Man, I saw another hybrid that also uses Zool. Preconodon, ground pangolin. A bunch of pangolins. I'm guessing this guy is trying to just make it as congruent as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
ceratopsian with an ankylosaurid base. Almost a dozen other armored dinosaurs adding onto it. From deflecting armor of Gastonia to the optimized tail club of Anodontosaurus. Other members of the genome increase defense, buff up the internal structure, the modern-day African bush elephant and macaw for increasing intelligence and decision-making, and Mylodon claws for better grounding and offense.
Okay, so this thing could potentially also make it to the top 8, in my opinion. This one can, that pterosaur can. This one I'm not so sure of. Armored Titan can. This Arantis Gigantis probably could not. Keraunoceratops probably can. This one, the Sloth Hybrid, probably can. Predator Rex probably cannot. At least that's my opinion.
Its stance is one of the best in the hybrid war, making it close to impossible to tip over or attack the belly of this beast. Ferropelta is the second and last ceratopsian to make it into the final 16, taking spot C2 before the next evaluation round. Hybrid number 9's genome and the use of its genetic contributors wanted a spot on this final list. Nemiphagax Eversor.
It's actually called the Nemiphagax Eversor. But
The
that's Nemi, by the way. When I reviewed this hybrid, I thought that Megalodon were applied to the jaws, but were applied to the teeth, and so it just downgraded to honorable mentions. I was a bit iffy about that, but I'm guessing I was wrong, because I think the creator of this hybrid clarified that the Megalodon was used for the cartilage.
Nemesis Eater. Brought forth by geneticists at Pixel Studios, this uncanny theropod of a different breed apparently never skipped arm day.
Man, its armor Megalodon stuff. Look at this. Those arms are incredibly jacked up, even more than the Indominus. Look at the Indominus' arms, man. They're just so slim and weak compared to this one. Even though the Indominus' arms... This thing, even though it might not be super agile, it has the advantage in terms of grappling and all that. This hybrid is probably one of my bets for winning this entire competition.
While some dinosaur genes are present, the addition of Dinokyrus, Allosaurus annex, chimpanzee, and the giant baboon Dinopithecus left this contender seriously jacked, with talons for slashing and arms for grasping.
I'm guessing this, from what I remember, Dinopithecus was added for palm walking instincts. Zool is quite clever as well.
With talons
shrew as expected. Acrocanthosaurus
for slashing and arms for grasping. Extra armor from the Ankylosaur Zool and the Chinese alligator help protect the flanks and major body parts. All while the Tyrannosaurus jaw structure combined with Acrocanthosaurus give it a muscular body and strong jaws. A unique and clever addition to Nemi was the use of Megalodon. Its cartilaginous aspect of the skeleton helps bolster the cartilage present on this hybrid, providing extra shock absorption and other benefits. Brawny and resistant.
While it may lack on defense and agility, this thing is just absolutely insane. This thing could also potentially beat the Indominus because it's smart enough.
The 2.0 is defense.
Here.
Geneticists,
It's
their
smart
body
enough.
and brawny effect of the skeleton grid, providing extra shock
It's smart. So Ferropelta is fine. Nemiphagax, this thing is absolutely monstrous.
absorption and other benefits. Brawny and resilient. Sheer
Never
strength
sleep all
helps
day.
make up for any decrease in agility. Nemiphagax will back itself up into the third spot, A3 in the Theropod build group of hybrids. Another large animal present in this roster of hybrid monstrosities is hybrid number 10, Mundosaurus. Geneticist LC99's hybrid. The universe reptile stomps into the competition with another small yet congruent genome, featuring
19.3 tons. But then GojiCenter says 30 tons. That's a little bit concerning. It's a little bit contradictory.
the Apatosaurus, Shunosaurus, the well-known Argentinosaurus, Kentrosaurus, and a possum.
A possum of all things. I'm not entirely confident that this could make it to...
This medium, or some would say a
Shunosaurus does help, though. The club tail... The Shunosaurus is... Not really the club tail. The Shunosaurus' tail itself is compatible. Instead of the Ankylosaur.
small sauropod initially
Instead of sticking in an Ankylosaurus tail, I would just break the whole tail of the sauropod.
sounds like a bad idea compared to prior titans, but at 30 tons, Mundosaurus still has more than enough mass to throw around. The muscular Apatosaurus genome is back
Sure.
for revenge after what the Indominus Rex did in Jurassic World, granting it a body that is both brawny and yet with a huge reach. Taking on the tail club sauropod Shunosaurus for an optimal weapon and Argentinosaurus for bolstered size and armor, this hybrid has some fantastic congruency for picks within a single family.
Yeah. Apatosaurus, Shunosaurus, and Argentinosaurus. That is a simple yet effective.
Kentrosaurus further adds to the armor on the
Simply
outside,
effective
and an
combination.
unexpected addition in the Virginia opossum gives resilience to both bacterial infections and venoms on the inside. Fun fact, these innocuous marsupials are actually extremely resistant to venom, able to hunt venomous snakes. They are also one of the only mammals completely immune to rabies and numerous other viruses.
The sketch itself isn't really good, but this interpretation makes it look much, much better.
Able to hunt venomous snakes.
A possum is clever as well.
They are also one
So
of the
basically, the effects of the Indominus venom are essentially nullified in this thing.
only mammals completely immune to
The Indominus can only rely on slashers and
rabies and numerous other viruses. Mundosaurus will take the third slot in the sauropods list on B3 and will await the next round to begin. The genome of hybrid number 11 is the definition of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Geneticist Nacho Pups brought us a highly congruent theropod with minimal additions with other sources. Theropod Rex, a combination
Theropod Rex.
of extremely agile
Quite clever. It's not. And it's actually quite a simple name, quite creative one as well. Thanks to it not being super edgy. For example, Titanus Rex, Titanosaurus Rex, GojiCenter or something like that. Titanus Frankonimus Rex, Scythosaurus Rex, the Hall of Shame. A lot of Hall of Shame entries, they had those super edgy names that just left me a sour taste.
Tyrannosaurus, lightweight but efficient armor from several types of abelisaurs, and the claws and shredding teeth of several carnosaurs. Built on top of a Carcharodontosaurus base genome, there is plenty of efficiency out of the gate. Dexterous arms from orangutans further help with grappling and leveraging those teeth and claws. Theropod dinosaurs dominated the big carnivore role in virtually of the gate. Dexterous arms from orangutans further help with grappling and leveraging those teeth and claws.
7 tons is a little bit light, given that the Indominus here, for comparison, they feel like they're both about the same weight, and the Indominus 2.0 is 11 tons. Theropod Rex is 7 tons, perhaps because of perhaps they don't want to compromise on the thing's agility. 16.9 meters, by the way, is
Abelisaurs and the claws and shredding
kind of pushing it. Especially when it comes to just two longest contributors, Keraunoceratops and the T-Rex. So I don't think this even deserves to be in the top 16 in the first place. Maybe in the honorable mentions, but like not top 16.
Dinosaurs dominated the big carnivore role in virtually every ecosystem for over 100 million years for a very good reason. Simplicity and practicality are some of the best policies in the Great Hybrid War. This hybrid snags the last spot in the Theropod builds group, leaving only 5 spots left for the round of 16. Time to show a unique hybrid, and one that may come as a surprise to most people. Maybe even the creator geneticist Chris Webb-Sevenson. Hybrid number 12, Gigantotherium.
It's the ape hybrid. I'm a GojiCenter member, so I can just spoil it right now. Actually, never mind.
A name meaning gigantic beast may be more suitable for an animal other than an ape, especially given that these animals have some pretty strict limits on how large they could get. However, the creator cleverly found a workaround, using the monster sloth Megatherium as a base and Gigantopithecus for ape-like traits.
How about instead of using Megatherium, I feel like you could also choose the Arimotherium. It's almost the same thing, except the Arimotherium actually faced predators in its environment.
This 8-ton Goliath is the genius bruiser of the competition.
Megatherium as the base with Gigantopithecus and as augmentations. Okay, cool.
8-ton Goliath is the genius bruiser of the competition.
8 tons. An 8-ton ape is... It works, I guess.
With multiple contributors for intelligence, such as elephants and orca, its combined instincts, if used correctly, could give it enough smarts to leverage weaponry granted from other contributors.
Yes. Gigantotherium. Could the Gigantotherium rear up? Probably. And the Indominus, when it comes to the Indominus, Gigantotherium could potentially have a grappling competitor. It reminds me of Vulcan, by the way. It could potentially make it to the top 8 thanks to its dexterity alone.
All while flexible pangolin armor helps keep it defended from head to toe to weather hits as it bashes, bites, claws, and brings weapons to deadly purpose.
This is a good competitor to the Indominus.
If wielding the right weapon or tool and leveraging dexterity, this creature could pull off a surprising win against the Pale Menace.
I could even go as far as to say it could enter the top 8. Given this creature, given an 8, so far, of course, it could potentially enter the top 4 as well. Nemiphagax would probably be in the finals, in my opinion. Mundosaurus, not so much. This one, not so much either. This one could potentially enter the top 4.
The Pale Menace. The ape hybrid will...
This thing is protected from basically every angle.
Off a surprising win against the Pale Menace.
Except for the underbelly, but like, it's dexterous enough, and oh my god, stop having a stroke. It has enough dexterity and intelligence to just overcome that weakness.
The ape hybrid will settle along with the other exotics in D3 and await the next round. Hybrid number 13 is a pleasant surprise. Something born of the Mesozoic, but not just of dinosaurs, stomps into the platform. Patterned after the sauropod-like crocodilian relative Silosuchus, geneticist DB4's Lucanovenator is augmented with strong body armor from other crocodilian cousins and armored dinosaurs.
It's also a surprise. It's also
orangutan arms and
given how this is built, it's probably saved by the armor. Probably saved by the art itself.
With size and thermoregulation thanks to the Alamosaurus.
Alright. Size and thermoregulation are now out of the question. Simosuchus.
Resilient, simple, agile, and practical with no major weaknesses.
I'm honestly not sure what this hybrid is going to place at. I'm not sure. Because this thing, even though it's agile and all that, actually it could potentially place in the top 8.
Agile and practical with no major weaknesses. This hybrid combines surprising resilience with exceptional reach and agility. with exceptional reach and agility. Armored and yet quick, it can both tank hits as well as go on the offensive with charges and swipes to either push forward with an offense or fall back on defending.
But if you look further into the video, you'll notice that there is an objectively better hybrid at doing every single job that this hybrid is supposed to do.
Lucanovenator will fall to position on slot D4 and watch the last 3 hybrids take the remaining spots. The hybrid war was flooded with many unique submissions, but a hybrid that clawed its way to the final 16 with one of the few clever methods of inflicting venomous bites was number 14, Arctosaurus Horridum. The bear reptile submitted by geneticist KC1401 actually uses the ancient croc cousin from the Mesozoic, the body of the biggest land predator the world had ever seen outside of dinosaurs, Phaseolasuchus.
Yeah. Man.
Tyrannosaurus
Basically, 0 people use Phaseolasuchus.
Rex and Kodiak bear further augment mass and muscular distribution along the body and jaws, increase senses, and those bear arms will be no joke at this scale.
Wolverine.
Here's the interesting part.
Yeah, seriously, I feel like the further you go, the better the hybrid generally is.
Gila monster DNA was added for a practical venom attack without having potentially breakable snake fangs.
This
creature's added benefit of scaly armor works in tandem with that of a Cuban crocodile to provide protection. The scrappy Wolverine further enhances its resilience, as well as those killer fangs. The robust brawler is not the largest, but definitely one who can swipe, claw, and wrestle before landing a devastating bite that just might refuse to let go.
Man, this bite is incredibly devastating and might just kill the Indominus in one shot. This could reach the top 4, and this could possibly even reach the top 2. Probably the top 4, honestly.
One who can swipe, claw, and wrestle before landing a devastating bite that just...
Now that I think about it, this is one of the stronger hybrids in this roster. Nemi is very strong as well.
Might refuse...
Seriously, though.
...to let go. Its lighter weight helps this bruiser keep the agility it might need in a confrontation. The bear reptile takes slot D5 and patiently awaits its rival. There are only 2 spots left in the final 16, and now we'll reveal the last sauropod to squeeze into this group of powerful builds. Hybrid number 15, the Atherotitan Cristus, aka Behemoth.
Behemoth, yes. Behemoth is in the top 16, and it's obvious why. It's because its armor, it's too much. There's too much armor on this thing. There's so much armor in this thing that even if it doesn't look the fastest or anything, it could tank hit after hit after hit after hit. It's an objectively better Arantis Gigantis. It would be slower, of course.
Heavenly Titan of Christ, submitted by geneticist Casuarius.
Weight 87 tons. From what I remember, when I first saw it as a member, it's not even close. It's 19.3. They forgot to edit it from the Mundosaurus, I believe.
Creator of this hybrid submitted what might have been one of the biggest entries to make it this far.
And honestly, probably one of the best ones, too. This thing is armed to the teeth. Look at this. People say it has too much armor, but, like, man, this is enough. I don't think that's too much armor. This behemoth over here, this thing is armed from every single angle. It's just not even funny. The pangolin armor also provides protection from slashes from the Indominus in the first place. And the claws as well.
To make it...
Toe claws as well. Jeez. This thing, I'm betting it on this. As well as Nemi and that other hybrid. Other hybrid potentially, but like, Behemoth probably stands the biggest chance of them all. This Behemoth stands a great chance.
This far, a titan clad in spiny armor built upon the Argentinosaurus as well, Behemoth thunders into battle with a menagerie of extra armor from familiar sources. From the pangolin to the
Archaea interesting. Ferropelta, Kentrosaurus, Purosaurus, African dwarf croc, giant pangolin,
Dwarf crocodile, and several types of
wedge-tailed eagle.
Ankylosaur for extra plating and spikes. It also has wedge-tailed eagle vision and
congruity could be a slight issue compared to Arantis Gigantis. This thing is more congruent than this thing. Arantis Gigantis is more congruent than the behemoth, but behemoth probably stands a better chance still because it's armed to the teeth.
Flying fox traits that enhance its immunity to various bacteria and viruses. Being this heavy means sacrificing maneuverability.
Yes.
However, at this scale, and being this well defended, all of its vitals are well off the ground, and any part in easy grabbing or biting range like the legs or belly is coated in defenses or spikes. Anything it crushes, it will destroy. The last righteous sauropod earns its spot in this group on slot B4, leaving only just one. You may have noticed that the last remaining slot resides in the unique builds group. This entry made it to this list not only because of its prowess and build, but to the merit of its creators, who decided to use an underrated herbivore family as the base, hadrosaurs.
Man, hadrosaurs are incredibly underrated. I'm not trying to glaze them, but like, hadrosaurs can and will defend themselves if necessary. Obviously, many of them choose to run away because it's a safer option, but if they're large enough...
Meet the last entry to...
but if they have to fight back, they will fight back.
The final 16, Yamabrontorax Maximus.
I guess I was wrong about, I was worried about the T-Rex jaws and all that, compromising on the skull, compromising on this creature as a whole, but I was wrong.
Or, as its creator geneticist Hardy Maximus names it, Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh! It's probably the most popular entry out of the entire list over here. Gilgamesh video currently has 48,000 views from what I remember. As of I'm recording this video, Gilgamesh is at around like 48,000 views.
Believe it or not, this hybrid was built upon possibly one of the most powerful land animals to ever exist outside of the sauropod build, Shentungosaurus, an animal that almost perfectly hits the sweet spot between size and speed.
And I used an exceptionally large Monosaurus and Actens. I'm guessing my main Achilles heel was the green iguana or something. Probably the green iguana. Probably trying to just make our creature more mobile by using the Skeletosaurus instead of Ferropelta. I don't know. But like, Skeletosaurus is fine. As a whole, it's probably the green iguana.
Is agile enough to easily keep pace with faster opponents and press the attack, but having more than enough mass to leverage its weight and power into crushing blows.
This thing is an objectively better Lucanovenator. This thing has much more power and also quite agile and all that.
What it lacks on
its agility is probably because of a T-Rex, right?
Major obvious weapons, raw force from impacts can more than make up for it.
There's from what I remember, the Keraunoceratops gave it more size sustainability, as well as those toe claws that can use as a weapon. The silverback gorilla gave extra muscle strength.
Raw force from impacts can more than make up for it. With long legs helping with a straightforward charge, the spiny armor further augments every blow and attack angle. In close quarters, these could prove devastating.
This is absolutely crazy. Not really crazy, but like, this is just a practical genome. Practical hybrid, as you can see here. Armored from basically every single side.
Any attempt by a rival to grapple, restrain, pounce, or climb atop runs the heavy risk of getting thrown off and trampled before the body whips around for a crushing hit. These, ladies and gents, have been the top 16 entries of the first hybrid war. Coming up, the 16 competitors will wait and see where they will be placed in the final bracket. This event will be live streamed for members at a future date.
Alright, so that's quite cool.
The resulting bracket will be publicized and the real tournament will begin. First, narrowing the contenders to 8 hybrids that can fight the 2.0 more effectively and pull off more wins. As we move on to the grand finale, the final 4 will face serious scrutiny, laying bare their flaws and weaknesses that could cost them their life.
Yes.
At the end, only the strongest will rise victorious.
And we featured in a GojiCenter video, and that will basically be the thing that faces the Indominus 2.0. The fan hybrid, the fan creation that will face the Indominus 2.0. And the Indominus 2.0 will finally face her reckoning, even after Ultima Imperatrix.
Marking the end of this hybrid war and the beginning of a new era.
There's a first hybrid war, though. There's going to be a second hybrid war. And I'm not so sure about its objective. So, the first hybrid war's objective is to kill the Indominus 2.0. The second hybrid war, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm excited. I don't know if I'll create more hybrids. I'll probably have to make more videos of my hybrid Lucy. Yeah. So thanks to Emily Stepper. Emily Step Paleoart. From what I remember, they also created that hybrid in the honorable mentions called Trajan, which is that 60 feet long Spinosaurus. Well, this is honestly what are your predictions, guys? Leave them in the comments. For mine, at least, this thing is going to make it quite far. This thing could probably win, honestly. This thing, probably the top 2, or if not, then top 4. This thing stands a huge chance. And this thing, Lucanovenator, is actually quite surprisingly good. After more consideration. This ape hybrid could stand well. This pterosaur could make it to the top 8 as well. Akira, I'm not so sure. This hybrid could. This hybrid has a chance. This hybrid definitely has a chance. It could make it to the top 4 even. Keraunoceratops has a chance. This thing probably does not. This thing can, alright? Predator Rex cannot. Probably cannot, actually. Yeah, I don't think so. And then Mundosaurus probably cannot either. Theropod Rex is out of the question. But, like, some good entries in my opinion. Some of them are not very good, but like, it's kind of a mixed bag once again. But this hybrid truly deserves to be in there. And this hybrid, yeah, I'm just repeating myself at this point so many freaking times. But like, you get the idea. You get the idea. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is for this video. Pretty much all there is for this review. I posted a community post asking people whose hybrids were not mentioned at all, not the top 16, not the honorable mentions, not even the Hall of Shame. I asked them in a community post to just drop their hybrids, and I will try and explain why they didn't make it. So that's pretty much all there is for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time.